What's up, Fighting Irish Faithful? And if you were not rocking and banging and fist pumping in your car as you heard that intro, then maybe you should just listen to another podcast. Welcome to the Fighting Irish Faithful podcast. This is Season 4, Episode 10. Notre Dame 2-0, heading into NC State, our first actual Power 5 team we're going to play here, a team that's 1-0. I am joined by my co-host, Red Snapper 9098 on the Twitter here, and live from the West Coast. We'll get to the surf report soon here, since we've got some Southern California punk here bringing us in tonight. Coming in hard, because Notre Dame is a foe to be reckoned with. And though, there's a bunch of other bullshit teams above them in the rankings, but quite frankly, I've said it before and I've said it again. I'm not going to look at the rankings and pay much attention to them the first 3 weeks. So next week, okay, let's talk about rankings. But let's Notre Dame or other teams get how many weeks in, and then we'll start talking about it. Anyway, this is the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Thank you for joining us. We are part of the Dos Leprechauns media circus, universe, sphere, hemisphere, dictatorship. What do you call us? I don't know. We're on Dos Leprechauns. Check us out on Facebook and our YouTube channel. But Fighting Irish Faithful is on Spotify and iTunes. So thank you for everyone for your patronage and listenership. And other news, I actually printed business cards. Ordered them. They haven't arrived yet, but ordered business cards because I don't know about you guys, but like when I see Notre Dame people like at Costco or out in public, and maybe I'm just a little aggressive when I'm like, yeah, go Irish, woo! I don't exactly do that, but maybe this is just a function of Notre Dame fans or Notre Dame stadium environment that is just very subdued. But I find that it's some fans are either like really hardcore or they're just like, and I'm like scaring them off. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, we finally printed business cards here. Oh, and the boss is coming in. Dos Leprechauns. Boss, you there? You're on mute. Oh no, he's on mute. He's just listening in. So okay, we got to be on our best behavior.
There he is.
Jason.
Somebody's getting a write-up.
That's okay. You can remember it on my performance review.
Yeah, we're gonna actually drop your salary. Now you owe me money.
I owe myself money. All right, you can go. If you want some money, all right, you go stand on the freeway off ramp.
You guys doing okay? Did you guys stretch before? I don't want to have any random cramps pop up.
I will not have cramps, and I did not have Taco Bell, so I don't know.
Okay.
Hey,
although I did have a burrito for lunch.
The deed has been done prior to podcast.
I just want to make sure nobody has any ID around here, if you know what I mean.
That's right. Yeah, we'll call the health department, or no, was it health and safety? Yeah. Clean up in aisle 7. Yeah.
That will never, ever not be hilarious. Ever.
Oh,
my gosh.
No kidding. And he will never live that down.
No, and
no,
well, and I've posted all sorts of yang on Twitter to our
compatriots.
Yeah, I was gonna. The first word that came to mind was comrade, but that sounded way too communist. So I was like, "F that."
Compatriots. There we go.
Yeah, but they're kind of in a different sphere, which is fine. Jesus loves them too. But I was just like, I've sent those guys a couple of subtle reminders, and they don't even recognize. Like, if that happened to me, I would totally own it. Be like, "Oh yeah, that was totally me. Yeah, that totally happened."
Well,
Oh, repeata.
I said, if that happens, we're printing the T-shirts, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah, no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my something broke down inside of me, and we had to roll. That's when I go, Red Snapper, I'm so glad you're here. You're ready to take over. All right. Well, anyway, for everyone here, this is the boss. This is the the master of the Dos Leprechauns universe, I think we need to put your face on He-Man's body, and because He-Man, master of the universe, right? And
I gotta say that bowl cut with your beard would look awesome.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean He-Man's a blonde, but no, like I could just picture Jason from Dos Leprechauns with a some sort of Notre Dame hat on, with the beard, the full facial hair going on, but standing next to a lion on a chain and holding a sword in like some sort of metal, Speedo, and that's Jason from Those Leprechauns, right? I think we need to get the art department on that right away.
I will.
I would buy
send
that
out an
T-shirt.
email.
And I would.
Is Mike Sloan where we need him?
Where is Mike Sloan? We'll put him in the comments here. But yeah, no, we're doing the NC State pregame show and a little bit of some reflections of TSU, and then we've got the stat piece this week. There's not a whole lot with NC State because they played 1 week. It's not really a stat piece. It's more of a post-game reflection / inflection, and we'll just leave it at there, and we'll hopefully that's a carrot for people to stay on later. So boss, we'll let you get the input here before we move on with the show.
Yeah, I mean TSU, it's I don't care who you are, you're coming to Notre Dame Stadium, you're coming to win, you're going to put on your A game, that's your Super Bowl, all the superlatives out there, but you can't be disappointed in any aspect of that game. I mean, defense played well with a lot of intensity, with their hair on fire. Offensively, obviously, we saw what this team can do when they're clicking on all cylinders. I would say my only, and this is just such a minor little thing, but my only, I guess, gripe is at the beginning of the game, it seems like the O-line and the D-line, both of the groups in the trenches, were kind of taking some plays off and maybe not taking it too seriously. We're not going to have that luxury this Saturday. North Carolina State's won 16 of the last 17 home games, and that's where we're playing them, is at their home. Yep. So got to be ready to play. Brendan Armstrong, their quarterback, is a guy that when he entered the portal this year, I was like, man, I would love for Notre Dame to get that guy. Mm-hmm. Didn't know Hartman was even a possibility. Yep. But he can play. He's obviously a dual-threat guy. You heard Freeman talk about he doesn't want to have 4 guys spying a quarterback, but I think you're going to have at least one spy most of the game, if not all the game, So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I hope we see some of the athletes out there. God loves J.D. Bertrand, but I'd really like to see Jalen Snead a little bit more. I think Jack Kaiser will have a big role this week, and I think it'll be a chance for our much-maligned secondary to show what they can do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's going to be pivotal for the defensive interior to really get a push, to really break down that pocket, get him basically running to the outside, and then it's going to be throwing on the run. So it should give us plenty of opportunity for Morrison Island and a couple others.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. How do you feel about our D-line matching up with their O-line? I put our O-line up against any D-line in the country. So how do you think our D-line fares up? I haven't done much research on their O-line. Anybody have any knowledge on that?
I mean, for me, it's honestly, it's very hard to say. I mean, they've played 1 game, right? And we've played 2 games against, Navy, who let's face it, Navy's rebuilding with Brian Newberry, and we played Tennessee State, so teams with talent, last 4 years average recruiting with 24/7 Sports of 125 with Navy and 173 with Tennessee State. So now we jump over to NC State down to 46.5 over the last 4 years, which is like, whoa, much better talent, which is expected, but it's still, not even top 25. Whereas, Notre Dame's 11.5 over the last 4 years. So, to answer your question, I really don't know because that's going to be kind of one of the things here, and maybe it's because we've been hurt before as Notre Dame fans and I'm reserved, but I'm not 100% sure of how Notre Dame is going to do this week. Do I think we'll win? Yes. Do I think we'll cover the 7.5 points that we're getting this year? or this game? Absolutely. I think that's a ludicrous score given, the statistics that we'll go into later today. But for God's sakes, I mean, there's no question that Notre Dame has better players, better talent. But at the same time, we haven't yet been tested against someone in the Power 5. And so I'm going to be very, logical and yet optimistic about this whole situation.
For me, it's going to come down to firing off the ball, where you run defense against Navy, the triple option. It's the defensive line is a little bit more read and react, whereas you go into TCU, we were just bigger, and so we could push guys around. But even still, it looked like they were still kind of reading and reacting. I want to see the defensive line fly off the ball and take up space, get through the gaps, occupy, whether it's the A gap or B gap. But I want to see them really come off the ball hard and fast. And I think that's going to be the difference. If we can win the line of scrimmage, then that's going to be the determinant.
And that's a good point you make, Red Snapper, that with the line of scrimmage and our He-Man Master of the Universe, Dos Leprechauns here. What else do we call He-Man? I don't know. We'll just call you He-Man. He-Man here is talking about line of scrimmage and can our offensive line match up. I'm very curious about how the offense does this year now under a new offensive line coach versus Harry Heastand, who was here for a year and departed.
Yeah.
And I've done some reflection and done a little bit of analysis on this, and yeah, it was good, and everyone remembers the Martins and Ronnie Stanley and some of these guys, but is that necessarily because of Heastand and his coaching, or these guys were just amazing talents? And I don't want to be unfair or kind or whatever. The jury's still out on this one, on what my true opinion of Heastand really is. Overall, it's positive. I'm not here to, dump on him and everything. But if we're going to be objective and be very data-oriented, I'm very, very curious on how our offensive line does this year and as we move on this, going forward, about, just like, to your point, Jason, we should dominate. We should kick their ass, quite frankly. And sometimes that didn't happen in past years under Heastand. Now, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe that's a Brian Kelly thing. I don't know.
I would say it's more Reese and his calling of the offense. I think.
Yeah, but that was last year. I'm kind of thinking of Heastand like in aggregate, beyond just last year. So, again, there's so much more to digest, with the past and what's going on this year. I mean, look, like I said, we played 2 games against 2 teams. One of them I never even heard of until 2 years ago, right? And that's not Navy. We really don't know what this offensive line can do yet. And and the next piece of that is you got a new offensive coordinator, you got a new quarterback. I mean, let's face it, when you have a good quarterback back there, everybody looks good. Even the defense looks good. I mean, think of the weight that pulls off the defense when it's like, this isn't 2012 when it's like the offense can't do crap and the defense has to come in and save the day, but thank God we have Manti Te'o. That is not what's going on right now, right? That doesn't mean our defense is poor or bad or anything of that nature, but when you have a good offense that's putting up, 40, 50 points, everyone can feel good and just ride the wave. And that's a good time for you, Red Snapper, to put in the surf report now that I just kind of teed you up there. But
Nice. Well, since we're on it, it's chest to overhead, 4 to 6 bears coming out of the due west. So it's some good surfing right now. Get in those last couple hours.
Now what time is if I was going to head down to Newport tomorrow, when the sun breaks over the mountains here, would that be too late?
Oh no, tomorrow morning should be good.
Excellent.
I'm going to be surfing some sand dunes out here in Arizona.
Nice.
Well, good. Well, Jason, Dos Leprechauns, He-Man, master of the universe that is Dos Leprechauns. I appreciate you jumping on. We're gonna move on with the. I've got some things to say about the TSU game before we get into NC State and then the NC State inflection reflection, and there's a reason for that. Hopefully, people know what I'm talking about.
Look at the engineer with a play on words.
That's right. Well, that's my Jesuit.
Looks like we got Lunch Truck on as well.
I saw that.
Lunch Truck on.
I put Red Snapper as co-host here. He can let whoever on, and then Adam Dowling's here, and then Jimmy Joe's been on from the beginning.
Adam.
Maybe we'll get Jimmy Joe on here because he's been on from the beginning, and that was kind of a fun experience last week here. Jason, any last thoughts? Are you gonna stay on?
No, I gotta bounce. I gotta go. I got a ticket a few weeks ago, and I signed up to do the freaking online school or whatever.
I was hoping you would say like you have to like remove graffiti from the side of a wall or something.
No. It's a little less than that, but no, it's gonna be fun. Can't wait.
All right.
So go Irish. Let's beat the hell out of these guys Saturday and prove.
Look at you, criminal.
Exactly. I want to see some Morrison Island this week.
This is Dos Leprechauns.
See you guys later.
We're rough around the edges. We get speeding tickets, whatever, Brilliant. Jason Lynch.
What's up?
Yo. Welcome back to the Fighting Irish Faithful Show, sir, at Lynch Mob ND.
Where are we at? Just making it home.
Bring it home. We're about to digest into some Tennessee State conversations here. Jimmy Joe was on here. I don't know if he had something to say here. I don't know if he's on mute or whatnot. Can't tell.
He keeps bouncing on and off.
Jimmy Joe, if you're in there, unmute yourself, jump back on, hit the pink button, lower left hand corner. Otherwise, we're just gonna move on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Jimmy Joe.
Hello.
Namaste.
No, countryman. Namaste to you too.
I'm just trying to read the audience here. Welcome back to the Fighting Irish Faithful Show, Jimmy Joe at Jimmy_Joe24 on the Twitter. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Irishman, who's Polish. How are you?
Very happy to be podcasting with you tonight. We're doing a recap of Tennessee State, which we appreciate you jumping on. You felt bad for Tennessee State, I recall, but at the same time, we got it's a necessary evil to defeat your foe. Although we really don't have any bad blood with Tennessee State, but
but the thing I worry about, what these teams we play, we shoot them out. We beat them so badly. Are we going to do that coming up with NC State?
That's I think the $1 million question here from Jimmy Joe here. Do we have the ability to do it? In my opinion, the answer is yes. Do we know enough about NC State statistically to really convince ourselves? Probably not, because we have a sample size of 1. But here's the thing. They have 1 game, 1 win, but it's over UConn. Now, I will say this. UConn is not trash like they used to be in 2009 when they beat Notre Dame. But what I will say is, I believe they won their bowl game last year. And someone please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they won their bowl game last year. And, NC State, right now they're not a trash can, but look, their coach, Dave Doran, has been there 11 years. He's been there quite a while. Now, last year was 8-5. But he at the program has a 57% win percentage. So not great, but maybe it's a function of his talent or it's a function of his recruiting. I don't know. In my opinion, if I just kind of look at coaching, win percentage, and talent, Notre Dame's got this in the bag.
Okay, you're saying that a quarterback, Mr. Hartman is doing such a good job. He's a better quarterback than their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good stump to host here. I actually don't have NC State's quarterback stuff queued up here, so you got me. You've got me. Here I am. But no, I mean, look, I'm going to be very honest. I don't have his quarterback stat. I don't even know who their quarterback is. That's how prepared, quote unquote, I am. Okay, Brennan Armstrong. Okay. Look, here's the deal. That's right. I do have some of these macro stats. No. Here's the deal. So, look, I talk about stats of champions, right? And the third most important stat is passing touchdowns. Okay. And then there's passing yards, which is like farther down the list, closer to like 19, 18 ranked on the list. Here's the problem. Their quarterback threw 0 passing touchdowns last week versus UConn. Okay. Whereas Notre Dame right now, we've thrown a total of 8 passing touchdowns. Now, Grant, we played 2 games. Okay. So take that for what it is. But Hartman has thrown 8 passing touchdowns in 2 games. Whereas NC State's quarterback has thrown 0. And that is the second most important stat. The next piece is passing yards, yard points, which doesn't really mean a whole lot. But I mean, NC State only threw for 155 yards last week, versus UConn, right? Right now they're tied for being ranked 104th in the country in that stat. So that ain't good. Now, what I will say is, and they're kind of, singing to my heart here, is NC State, rushes the ball, and they had 3 rushing touchdowns. So, good on you. But I don't know, like if I look objectively, it's one game, right? But at the same time, it's like, it's UConn, right? It's a team. I'm pretty sure they're independent. NC State is in the ACC. They should be better. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I just feel I'm getting rambly here, but if I just look if I just take one game in under the petri dish and looking at it under the magnifying glass, I'm not impressed with what I see.
Okay, good.
Well, stat correct for you. Angeli had 2 touchdowns, so Hartman only had 2 last week.
No. When I say passing touchdown, sorry. Yeah, Hartman has 6 total on the season, and Jelly has 2. So when I say that, I meant Notre Dame as a team. So my mistake.
Which for me was probably one of the best highlights was Hartman out and getting Minchie and Angeli that experience.
Absolutely,
I think that's exactly what that game was for, and I was extremely happy to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do against a inferior team when they come into your house. It's your job to squash them, to punch them in the face and say, "Yeah, I don't care if you're here. Sorry, Jimmy Joe, if that's offending you, but this is how we roll." But that's okay. We're drinking Glenlivet here. I don't know if they drink scotch in India, but no. You live in Idaho now, so I don't know what they roll out there.
I do. I love it.
You love Idaho?
I do.
You got what?
I want to ask you gentlemen. Oh, Mr. Red Snapper, hello to you.
Well, hello there, Jimmy Joe.
You were not on last week, were you?
Not for the post game, unfortunately.
Oh, how come you're called Red Snapper?
I was a long snapper for my high school team, and red was our color, as shown by my icon, my avatar. That's our helmet right there. So I was known as Red Snapper.
Oh, okay. How many points are we going to win this game by?
Well, what do you think, Jimmy Joe?
I was gonna say Jimmy Joe sounds like a betting man.
I know. he's like egging me on here. Jimmy Joe, what do you have a score prediction? Let's just cut through the fat here.
By 14.
14 point margin.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is giving 7.5 points.
I'm okay with that. Hey, we win. But winning by
Notre
14
Dame win
points,
by
that's okay.
14. Is it going to be like 35 to, 35 to what? 7? 10?
Well, even though Mr. Hartman is so good, I think it's our defense that's going to make us win.
Interesting.
So over under 2 turnovers for NC State.
Okay.
I'll say this: if I read into what Jimmy Joe is talking about, he's saying our defense is going to do well, limit NC State, and to reflect on kind of what he's alluding to. I don't know if he means this on purpose, but I'm going to take it and run with it. Notre Dame right now is 6th in the country, yes, and it's after 1 week of everybody playing, but Notre Dame has allowed their opponents 3 points. Right,
each game.
Yeah, right. So ranked 6th in the country, the scoring defense, right? So that's good. That's the average, right? Average of 3 points. So hooray. And then as far as defensive goes, rushing defense averaging them to 107, rushing yards, limiting their opponents. This is great. To 28% on 3rd down. What? Like, that's awesome. Sacks, we could do better. Turnover margin, we could do better. But some of these things, I think they will come. Everyone knows that Navy is a disciplined team. So that's good. And we did play a team that just won. So, that's a function of the turnover margin. So, I don't think Jimmy Joe's necessarily wrong that I think the defense can build on the success of the previous 2 games and apply it into this game as we go forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I have to go.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy Joe.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye, Mr. Snapperman.
Bye, Jimmy Joe.
Bye.
All right, peace be with you and with your spirit at Jimmy_Joe24 on the Twitter. Send him a follower. Our newest, I don't know. What would you say, Red Snapper? He's become very impassioned with the show. I will say that.
Well, then why don't we just call him a passionate follower?
Passionate follower, Jimmy Joe. I'm okay. And look, he didn't just jump off. He's got to do some other stuff important with his life, but he put us on mute, so that's cool. He's listening on. Lynch is on here. We see you here. Let's do a little bit of reflection. We've jumped a lot over to the NC State game. I kind of want to do a little bit of recap of the TSU game. Just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. We've said a lot. Everyone's listened to probably 5 Foot Nothing or whatever other podcast or blog or press conference that they want to hear, which is cool. A couple things that kind of teased me up here into this. I read an article that was related to injury. So Matt Salerno, for some reason, sustained a leg injury, which probably happened in the 4th quarter, or he was playing hurt. Now, as badass as that is, playing hurt, I don't want anyone to be hurt. So hopefully he's okay, but it looks like he's out for a little bit. Gabriel Rubio is still out from the Navy game. So his return is unlikely. That's TBD. And then the last one here, and this is gonna maybe I should pour more scotch here with this one.
If it's what I think it is, pour the drink now.
Yeah, probably. It is what you think it is. It's Devin Ford. So he is on concussion protocol. And he, when it first happened, I was like, damn it. But then I saw the replay and I'm like, oh shit, that was targeting. So Devin Ford, of course, fumbled, in the 1st quarter on a kickoff return, resulting in, TSU getting the ball, but then, we blocked the field goal. So hooray for us. But then I went back last night and this morning and rewatched this, and I'm like, good freaking Lord, this is absolutely horrendous officiating. Ford, like, they have changed the rules of kickoffs. No wedge blocks. They've moved where they kick the ball off, this and that, to kind of forced touchbacks. Ford was targeted. There's no way around it. And furthermore, and I don't just look at it as just like, oh, he's laying there like half unconscious, where his body goes limp, which is really scary. These are things like I don't want Doc to see, because she'll be like, I don't want our son to play football, like the rational, legit thought. But I will say this: Ford, the defender, the guy in the kickoff team, he doesn't come in with proper form tackling. He comes in, just kind of launches himself. His arms aren't reached out for wrap up, or none of that. So in that regard, I think it's targeting. So it's a complete bullcrap. Now, on the flip side of that, you've got Antonio Carter, who was kicked out of the game with 2 minutes left in the second quarter for targeting. That was not targeting. This is
No, that was a perfect form tackle.
I have watched that play, and there's a video going out there on the internet where it's in slow motion. His form tackling, like if you put a leather helmet on him and natural grass and maybe put like that sepia brown kind of like vibe to it, that old timey kind of photo, it is absolutely perfect form tackling. Like, oh my gosh, like I want to like
cross, nothing but shoulder pad.
It's head up, ass low, arms out, wide base, and he's driving with his legs, and he's going to the side, and the only reason why it maybe could be targeting is because the quarterback is like twisting and lowering his head at the same time. Okay, but apparently when Carter does perfect form tackling, driving with his shoulder, and first off, his helmet didn't hit the other guy, the quarterbacks or whoever's it didn't hit his head. It hit his shoulder pad, and that's only because he was twisting. And furthermore, it just I'm so pissed about this. Now, the flip side of this, or the bright side, if I may, he's kicked out of the second half, so he is back for the first half of the NC State game. So I don't know, like. I have to mention that because I was so pissed when I saw the targeting call against Carter, and I was like, that is fucking bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. It is terrible. I thought it was awful. Bad officiating. We expect this from the ACC, and it was terrible. So with that, the toast tonight is going out. It's a twofold toast. Number one to Carter for proper excellent form tackling. And then also to Ford, we're going to do a double toast here. He took the hit like a man. I hope he recovers with concussions. That's a really scary, bad thing. But Ford, you took the hit. Fuck you, refs. Okay, that's all I'm going to say to that. So
rest up and get better.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. So those are the toasts of the night. So I imagine Lynch or Adam Dowling has a comment on that.
Guys, how you doing?
Adam, how are you, man?
Hello, Adam.
Good. Yeah, the comment on that is what was crazy about all that is inside the stadium when that Ford hit happened, they kept on replaying it on the Jumbotron, the hit, like over and over and over. And everyone was like waiting for like the refs to be like, oh, it's under review. And it never came. And it was almost like the stadium just erupted because it was kind of a little bit of a sleepy start. Like they weren't playing real good in the beginning on the line of scrimmage. And it was almost like that like jolted the energy in the stadium and got the defense to like, everyone was on their feet the whole time, that whole stand where we blocked the field goal and was like, the defense was stopping them. And then it almost brought energy to the game, honestly. And then when the second hit on Carter, that was like right in front of my seats.
Yes.
And he was I mean, it was just, they could not believe this penalty was happening. And then went to review. The stadium even was in more outrage. I mean, people were like attacking. And I don't know if they showed it on TV, but Marcus was like in outrage.
Oh, he was pacing like a madman.
I did not see that on the TV.
He was pacing like a madman.
Dude, he was on those refs. So, I mean, he was really close to getting a penalty. I'm going to be honest. He was just, and the refs were just like putting their arms up. We have no idea. But like, how can you even justify like not reviewing one and then throwing the guy out for the other? Like, it's insane.
Well, and it'd be one thing if it was like the sequence of them, like let's flip the sequence of that. Let's pretend the Carter hit happened earlier in the game, and then they're like maybe a little too sensitive, and so they call targeting when it probably wasn't targeting. But then the Ford hit happens, and they're like, "Oh, we'll let off the gas on this, and we'll just let the boys play." You know, like that actually in my brain makes more sense, even though when I watch it, it doesn't. But like, it's the complete flip flop of that. That's not even the sequence in which it happened.
It honestly, it had vibes of Major League Baseball and the unwritten rules of throwing at a batter, and then the next team comes up and throws at them, and then the guy gets ejected even though nobody got warned.
Yeah,
like that's literally the vibes I got from it.
I'm telling you guys, though, being in the stadium, it almost like incited the crowd, who incited the defense, and it was like it brought so much energy in the stadium where you could tell the defense was just like thriving off it.
Yeah, that was in the second quarter when that happened, right?
Yeah, that was all. I think it might have been the first quarter on the first one with Ford.
Yes, that's correct.
Blocked the field goal.
Quarter.
Yes,
we blocked the field goal, and then we stopped them down on the south end, down by where my seats are, where the Carter thing happened. Then we end up stopping them too. But it was like everyone was on their feet, just going crazy to get a stop because everyone was in outrage.
Yeah, and if memory serves me well, and looking at the box score here and the play-by-play, I believe that the series in which the Carter alleged targeting play happened, that was the series in which Tennessee State missed their field goal.
Yeah, and I think they only went backwards after that happened.
Yeah.
Too.
What do we say? Basketball, ball never lies.
Yeah.
But I mean, now that game's over, I mean, what are you guys thinking about this? Like this game, I know some people may think I'm crazy, but this game has worried me all summer.
Okay, so I wanna pause on NC State real quick because there's something that I need to talk about that, but I'll do that a little later in the show. So Adam, if you want to just sit real tight here, I do want to get your feelings on that. There's something you said real quick. You were talking about like, and I've heard this from multiple places, and you know, I talked to some other friends, people offline, not on Twitter, about the game this past week against Tennessee State, and people are like, oh, Notre Dame came out slow, or it seemed slow, and you know, and of course, if you look at the box score, and you know, okay, the score was 7-3 after the end of the first quarter. Like, okay, that is a fact that's written down. I did a little deep diving into that just to kind of understand, like, well, okay, what does that really mean? I think what it really comes down to is, look, Notre Dame started with the ball. It took us 10 plays to score a touchdown. Now, what's interesting is, on the flip side of that, we kick off, it goes over to Tennessee State, and they end up going 15 plays for 6.5 minutes until they get their field goal. So you've already had just 2 possessions, and we've already rolled off 12 minutes of clock time. Most of the first quarter is done and over with. Okay? Now, and then right after that is the Ford hit, right? And Tennessee State recovers, right? So it's 1st and 10, right at the Notre Dame 12, and fortunately, our defense just completely stuffs them. Incomplete pass. Run, no game. Incomplete pass, blocked punt. Okay, fantastic response by the defense, right? That was the turning point of the game, which is fantastic. Like, so I'm not trying to like whitewash or sugarcoat or pick your metaphor. I'm just saying the sheer if people want to be critical, maybe the defense in the first series was slow. Okay, by allowing Tennessee State to put up 55 yards in six and a half minutes for 15 total plays. Okay. But they responded immediately right after that. And maybe that's a function of this new running clock rule. Okay. So maybe we can expect this to happen. I don't know. But what I do know is right after that, the first time the offense actually got the ball, okay, 8 plays, 80 yards, touchdown. Okay. Tennessee State throws an interception. Notre Dame, 4 plays, 2 minutes, touchdown. 3 and out by Tennessee State. Notre Dame, 8 plays, 53 yards, touchdown. Missed field goal, then another touchdown by Notre Dame. So it's like boom, boom, boom. We didn't have any one play Hail Mary, throw it to Will Fuller deep kind of plays, okay? But it's methodical play calling that makes sense. The offense is cooking. You can't stop us because you're an inferior opponent. And there you go.
And honestly, that's what I attribute it to is the game script in the first quarter is really just kind of feeling out the defense and finding out where they're weak. So you're running, at least you should be running from an offensive standpoint, plays that are going to give you keys on how they're covering, and what their fronts and stunts are looking like. So you're going to want to grind on that first series just to, really push and really expand to see what's going to work. And then your second series, which ultimately it shows just by what you just said, that we were able to find it and march down the field. So to me, it's more of, rather than a bingo card, there's an actual script that's looking for investigative details on how are they covering us.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, think of all the different sets and personnel groupings that we went through in that first series drive. It wasn't the same set. It wasn't the same personnel. It evolved as each play went, and you had guys subbing in and out, different formations. I can think of 3 offhand in that first series that different reactions every single time. And yeah, it might have just been a run play, but we were picking apart, and those double teams inside by the pulling guard. I mean, that was just beautiful to see.
Yeah. No doubt at all.
The only thing that was a little concerning being at the game was it seemed like, even though we were up a little bit, like we were losing the line of scrimmage a little bit in the first half. Like they were definitely, we weren't pushing them around, but then it got better as the game went on. Mm-hmm. So I would say as smooth as Navy looked, how it looked like a perfect smooth operation, I felt like Tennessee State didn't look as smooth.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, and my kind of rebuttal response, and this is maybe a function of me with rose-colored glasses here, but still, backed up by stats, is Hartman hasn't been sacked once yet this year. And is that a function of our line being superior? Is that Hartman being superior? I think it's a little bit of both.
I would just agree both.
And it's probably also a little bit that our opponent is inferior. So I guess the point I'm making is, how much stock do we put in, like, because this show is very stat based, and we kind of use that to produce some projection into the next game and whatnot. And it's my crystal ball kind of crap. But the point is, like how much of that do I actually believe going into the NC State game? But at the same time, NC State had the opportunity to play I think most college football fans would agree that UConn is a lower level program, and I'm using mad air quotes when I say that. But NC State beat them, but they didn't destroy them. Okay, so is that a function of UConn's finally getting a little better, or is that NC State is just going to be down and have another 8-5 year? I don't know.
Or was it just game one? And
Yeah,
then,
right.
finally getting the engines rolling.
Yeah, game one. I mean, how many times has Notre Dame come out stale in game one, and then later on, we're like, yeah, like, shit, go to 2018, right? Okay, we played decent against Michigan game one, but then Ball State and whoever else we fucking played after that, right? It was like a 17-10 game. Right. Yeah, that's right. It was Vandy.
We only beat them by 5 and Ball State by 7.
I mean, thank you, Adam Dowling. So it's like, that's my point, right? Like, is it beginning of the season jitters? You're kind of working out the kinks, right? I don't know. What I do know is that we played 2 inferior teams. We smoked them the way you're supposed to. Alabama played an inferior team, Middle Tennessee, and I got to see actually Tyler Buckner play and scored a rushing touchdown, and that they smoked them. So there's a lot of parallels here. Now, I'm not trying to compare Notre Dame to Alabama. What I'm saying is that's another team that you expect to smoke Middle Tennessee, and they did. We were expected to beat the crap out of Tennessee State, and we did. So I'm not going to, give ourselves a cookie here because we did what we're supposed to do. But at the same time, I don't have to be ashamed of it. At all.
We knew what the assignment was, and it's assignment fulfilled.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how many times I said it last week. It was assignment football, and you saw them get better as the game went on. And until they pulled all, the majority of the first string after the first half, you still had a couple of first string guys in there, really showing the ropes to the second string guys, come third quarter. But that was very much a know your assignment and, next man up if we ever need it. And this is the exposure and the experience you need to get there. So I definitely, I saw it for exactly what it should have been. And I was extremely ecstatic that the score reflected that. And then we had the secondary in, and I loved how we had our starting running back in with Angeli just to give him that little extra comfort. And then, he slowly opened it up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, when you play a lower level team and you're up big going in the fourth quarter, what a great time to put your backups in, get them some reps, some necessary reps, keep them engaged, get them some, comfort with some live reps. It's a little bit of garbage time there, but at the same time, to see them score points against the Tennessee State squad is fantastic. I'm not gonna be upset about that.
I just love the camaraderie it built because you saw Hartman giving signals to Angeli when he was in, and then you saw Angeli doing it when Minchie was in.
Okay.
So it was just this camaraderie just amongst. You could tell the quarterbacks with each other, but you saw the same thing. The first string that was in the third quarter. Patting the guy next to him, like, come on, get this one, on the offensive line. And, some of the second string secondary on the defense, same thing, reading keys, and you saw the safeties pointing things out and making calls. So it was exposure that you saw. Absolutely.
Well, I know Jason Lynch jumped on earlier in the show, and he we kind of, I don't know, we elbowed him off the armrest here in the seat here. Lynch, any thoughts about Tennessee State, or you want to jump into NC State?
No, y'all have covered it. I completely agree. The first quarter was a little slow, but I think it's like Red Snapper said. It's just kind of seeing, what they had as far as their coverage, and seeing what their offense was going to do some too.
Yeah. I appreciate that Lynch has come in saying y'all, that it's like he speaks with authority, like he's from the South. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe just a.
With a last name like Lynch, he better.
I mean, they're serious about their football down there, right?
Oh yeah. What about the family?
Ugh.
The It's bad, serious.
I guarantee you we will talk about that later. Trust me. We trust me, gentlemen. It's in the notes here. We've got a flow of the show. We'll get to that. Trust me.
I can't wait.
I'm like rubbing my hands here, like here it comes.
Yes.
All right. Well, Lynch has spoken with authority, like a judge on the bench here. All right, let's move on to NC State. So, a little high level thing. I did a little research here. One of my favorite websites. If y'all don't know, look at Lynch. He's like rubbing off on me. If y'all don't know about Winsipedia, you gotta check this out. This is one of the coolest websites ever. You can compare college football teams head to head. It gives you the history. It gives them their win streaks, their largest margin of victory, this, that, and the other. It's great. And it's a great website to go to look at, gee, what is the history of Notre Dame versus NC State? Well, this website tells you. Truth or a lie to Red Snapper, Notre Dame has a losing record against NC State.
I would say that's true.
That is true. Notre Dame is 1-2. 1 win, 2 losses. The first time we ever played each other was in 2003. Thank you, Tyrone Willingham. It was a bowl game. We lost 28-6. And then we lost in 2016, 10-3. We'll come back to that. And then, of course, 2017, we won 35-14 in the Josh Adams, Brandon Wimbush year. That was a game at home. So we've played them 3 times, and we've had a neutral site game, we've had an away game, we've had a home game, and now we're going back with another away game. What's really weird about this is ever since Notre Dame had their 4 or 5 game ACC game schedule, what have you, are kind of like co-allegiance a little bit with the ACC, starting I think 2014 when that started. We've only played NC State twice, which is really weird. Like, how many times have we played Wake Forest, for crying out loud? Like, I don't understand why it seems like we play some teams more than others, but whatever. I don't work in the scheduling department. So right now, Notre Dame is playing this game to get to 500, which is kind of weird to think about against a team that we have no history with. Now, granted, it's not very many, but there's not a whole lot of teams that Notre Dame could say that we've played that we have losing records against. So that's kind of interesting. The last time Notre Dame played NC State on the road, however, was 2016. And yes, that was a very, very bad year for Notre Dame. It was 4-8, and it literally was the year that if someone had taken me by the shoulders and given me a good firm shake, that is the year that did it. And specifically, this game, 2016, Notre Dame at NC State in a fucking hurricane, was the inflection point for me. Lynch, you there?
Yes. Yeah, so that was the absolute Hurricane Bowl. I don't remember. I had read, it's been a while back, about how much it actually rained from kickoff to the final snap, and it was like an astronomical amount.
Yes.
A lot of rain. Like
it was a lot of rain.
That game?
Here's my thought about this. Think of it another way. Notre Dame played Boston College. Adam Dowling was at that game. That game was in the snow. Now, Grant, we won, and we beat them soundly. But we had to play in the elements, and snow is slippery and whatever.
Yes.
But did it look like Notre Dame had their shit together and they had their act together despite the rain or the snow and the elements? Of course they did.
Yes.
Because they adapted their game plan for the elements for their opponent on the field. My biggest problem in this game from 2016 is you've got Notre Dame trying to do passes and other bullshit during the game.
Exactly.
This game, 2016, was the inflection point for me in my fandom where I said, this is it. I'm done with Brian Kelly. After that game, after watching that shit show, I wanted his ass fired. And I maintained that status, quite frankly, always. Now, granted, we did better in 2017, 18, and so on, right? You know, and so it's like, well, he's doing better over the next 5 years, right? So, okay, I can't be too pissed, but we still don't really have anything to show for it. But still, that thought never left my brain about, like, look, you have not erased the mind diarrhea and the absolute absurd, shitty coaching decisions you did in that game. And so I don't want this just to be opinion and just, because let's face it, I wasn't running a podcast in 2016. However, what I did is I looked and did the exact same breakdown of that game from 2016 today. Every breakdown that I do after every post-game show, like I did for Tennessee State, like I did for South Carolina last year, like I did for USC last year, everything. I went and did, all right, so we lost by 7 points. We lost 3-10, okay? Now, keep in mind, no team scored an actual touchdown on offense. The only touchdown that was scored was by NC State because they blocked a punt and they ran it back and recovered it, whatever, in the end zone. Okay, that's how they scored and that's how they won. Okay, here's the problem: Notre Dame only ran the ball in a hurricane, as Mr. Lynch has pointed out. We ran the ball 59% of the time. Now, Notre Dame ran 57% in Ireland, 52% against Tennessee State. Those games are in nice weather, nice grass, turf, whatever. We're playing in the rain. We're playing in the elements. That shit ain't gonna work passing the ball. Our coach is stupid to make Deshaun Kaiser in 2016 pass the ball, all the times he did that. Deshaun Kaiser's completion percentage was 34%. It's absolutely atrocious. We attempted 26 passes in a fucking hurricane. Are you insane?
And didn't the ref have to hold the ball down a couple times because it was floating off the field? Or was that... I want to say
that wouldn't surprise me if that happened.
I think it was that game.
Here's the deal. Truth or a lie, Lynch? Did any team have more than 200 yards total in this game?
No.
No, that's 100% correct. Now, did Notre Dame have 150 more or less total yards?
Less.
113 yards. Notre Dame had 113 total yards of offense. NC State had 193. And we tried to throw the ball 26 times in a hurricane. Now, both teams had like similar play calls, like 64 and 65 respectively. But quite frankly, it's ridiculous, right? And it's going to be messy. There's going to be fumbles and the ball's slippery, right? Okay. But the play calling was trash, okay? I looked at some of the gameplay here. This is ridiculous. Notre Dame, first drive, 3 and out. It's like we're throwing to CJ Sanders, then incomplete pass, then a 3-yard loss pass to Adams, right? And then Newsome has to punt. NC State ends up marching the ball down. And if anyone remembers what their first play was, it was a stupid flea flicker, okay? and none of that bullshit was happening the rest of the game. They're like, okay, we're just gonna go 1924 style football here. Everyone's put leather helmets on and start getting ready to run the power sweep. Okay, you can run blast or trap through the A gap or the B gap. Those are your plays when you're in that kind of environment. Just get in an I formation, put the tight end in there at the fullback, and just push the pile forward. Get into rugby scrum. That is your offense in those shitty elements, okay? Because, like, if any of you guys played high school football or college football or whatever, okay, everyone remembers that practice in the rain or that game in the rain or the snow or whatever, that when the elements, right? Do you think back to those, like, crazy games in the snow or the rain and think, oh, that game was shitty or terrible?
No, I remember that game being super fun.
That's my thought as well. Okay? And my whole thought is like, look, if this is the environment that we're doing right now, and this is how we're rolling, those games are fun because you get weird. Things get weird and crazy in the environment when weather it becomes an equalizer. Okay? And our coach was stupid enough to pass with Deshaun Kaiser, and it's like what are you doing, you dipshit? No, in one of my earlier podcasts I ever did, I made some crazy claim, and I still stand by this, that you could have taken the team knowing that the weather was going to be shit, and you could have taken them over to the Compton ice rink and had practice on the ice.
Right.
You could have done that and said, look, this is the kind of bullshit you're going to have to deal with on Saturday. It's going to be messy. It's not going to be nice. You're going to be slipping and sliding all over the place. You need to have firm footing. You cannot cut the way you're supposed to. This is going to be just man ball, power football, run it down their throat kind of stuff. And look, I know we're going to fumble. We're going to muck up handoffs and snaps and stuff. But you know what? We're going to outman them. We're going to be tough, and we're just going to try to be disciplined in assignment. And it's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be pretty. But we're not going to deliberately call plays to put you guys in a losing situation. And damn it, that is the problem I had with Brian Kelly. He put us in a position where it was a no-win situation, and it's absolutely bullshit. And as soon as that game was over, I was like, fuck you, Brian Kelly. You need to get your ass fired.
I said that after a bunch of games.
Yeah, but that was the game that tipped it. Like, I was pissed at Michigan State. At Michigan State, I was like, how the hell that happened? Duke, I was like, WTF. Then that game happened. I was like, okay, trust me. I feel like I could have called a better game. Like that's how bad it was. And I know that's arrogant and whatever, I'll get some hate on that on Twitter. But look, there's no fucking way that I would have called that in that environment. No effing way. On grass, by the way. It's not a turf field. It's a grass field.
Natural grass field.
I don't know what it is now, but
yeah, they should have gotten like the fire department to bring in fire hoses and just sprayed them in the face the entire practice. And
that's what I'm saying. Like just turn the sprinklers on. Like get some hoses. Like just have a coach on the side of the line, sidelines with a super soaker. I don't care. Okay, take the ball, cover it in butter, like whatever. Okay,
right.
Think of something to make it difficult for you to practice. Make it difficult. Your job is to make practice hell so games are easy. You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Now, he's not our coach anymore, so I can kind of step back and I don't have to give him too much grief. It'd be a much more interesting podcast if BK was still our coach, but he's not. So, and here's another thing.
Thank God for that.
Amen. There's no way in hell Sam Hartman would be at Notre Dame if Brian Kelly was still our coach.
No, there's no way.
No way.
At Notre Dame.
No way. He would have gone to Alabama or something like that. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. All right, that's my little rant about the 2016 game. If anyone wants to have further questions about that, by all means. That is a key moment in my Notre Dame fandom where it made me really rethink things. It was that game. That was the inflection point for me. I don't know what it is for other people, but for me, I was like, this is god awful. This is unacceptable. 3-10 against NC State. And we ended up being 2-4 after that game.
Mm-hmm.
So bad. So bad. Anyway. We don't need to talk about, how poor we were on third down, how poor we were on, our scoring drives. We were 1 of 13. So bad. Our yards per point was 37.7. Really bad. It's not good. So really bad. At least, hey, Yoon got a kick.
Yes, solidified the most points scored.
That's right. Notre Dame scoring champion, Justin Yoon. There it is.
Yeah, the kicker.
All right.
I'm looking forward to this week because I think this week is going to be a complete shift. And I expect more first quarter kind of systematic drive, first series. And I want to see the line of scrimmage owned from the first series. That's the step from last week to this week, that both the offensive and defensive lines need to start fresh in the first quarter and just take over the line of scrimmage.
No complaints, no arguments there.
Absolutely none.
Well, there's Adam Dowling here. He's been really quiet here listening to my ranting here. Maybe he's, winding down for the night. But no, that's the story there on BK and NC State. Going into this game, look, we've mentioned before Notre Dame's getting 7.5 points. Look, we are a better team. We have better talent. Now their coach is clearly more experienced, Dave Doran. He's been there quite a while. But they're coming off a win. We'll see how it is.
And they're at home, so
they're at home.
Some to definitely be conscious of, which is why we need to go in and set the tone. Fly across that line of scrimmage, strap it up a little bit tighter, and get ready to hit.
Yeah, take the face out of it really fast.
Yeah.
The attitude needs to be, you're going to feel me all game long.
Yeah. The thing that gives me a lot of hope is the top 6 stats. Notre Dame's clearly put up a lot of touchdowns. We're number 2 in total touchdowns, number 2 in passing touchdowns. This is in the country. Grant, we've played 2 games. We're number 16 in scoring offense, which is great. Scoring defense, we're 6th. Total defense, we're 6th. And rushing touchdowns were 7th. So we're looking really good compared to NC State in all of those categories. Right now, all of them are getting green lights from me. So I do think we'll win. Again, NC State's played just one game, so it's really hard to gauge where they bounce going into this week. We are fortunate to have played in that early week. So we've started early, so I feel like we have the advantage. Just from an overall, just getting into a groove, finding who we are as a team. What I will say is this: last game versus Tennessee State, Hartman, distributed the ball well. We distributed, who was scoring, who wasn't. Right? There wasn't really one player on offense that really dominated, or this isn't Will Fuller, or Josh Adams, or Golden Tate, or whomever that's just being in the spotlight. If anything, it's just Hartman, just because he's distributing the ball well. I guess Angeli also threw 2 touchdowns. But the point I'm making is I think this is the week where we start to see a little bit of separation, maybe in the receivers, maybe even a little bit of the rushing.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see, which receivers get out of their breaks a little bit cleaner, which ones, consistently, Hartman's able to go to. I think it's a mixed bag when coverage is soft and he's got his pick of the litter. And so it's just going through his progressions and, okay, but when you have to get the ball and put it into a tight window, I think that's one thing we haven't seen from Hartman yet is him having to thread that needle because he's had so many different options. So it'll be interesting to see, how the defense for NC State does, put coverage on our receivers and then does a number 1, or a 2A emerge, and then Hartman see how he reads his progressions through that.
Yeah, no doubt at all. The one thing I did want to mention here is there was a touchdown that happened in the third quarter, and it was great because this is when Angeli starts coming in, right? So, pretty much Angeli played pretty much all of the second half, other than a little bit from Minchie. And, his first series, okay, we had to punt, but the next series, the first series that he comes in and he gets a passing touchdown. Do you guys know who he threw it to?
I want to say it was Price.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah, let's do it. Now, it was funny is when that was happening, I kind of was really keying in on the TV, like, oh, are they going to do it? And they didn't do it in Notre Dame Stadium. I think Adam Dowling can comment on this if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they didn't play the Price is Right theme in Notre Dame Stadium. But I got to mention that because we got to give Price his dues. Yes, he's one of the many players, but your last name is Price. I mean, come on.
I would have thought last weekend would have been the perfect time to do it with the passing of Bob Barker. That would have been a nice little homage to him too.
That's my thought too. What the hell, Notre Dame? Just again, ask for forgiveness, not permission. Whatever. Come on, Notre Dame, get over it.
Yeah.
Hey, that. Notre Dame legal team, I know you listen. Why don't you get on it and get the permissions from the actual TV show?
It's called dollars. All right, just. Good grief. All right, I don't know. Good times. Well, but to Jadarian Price, he gets a passing touchdown from Angeli. It was great. That was awesome. So, no complaints. All right. A couple other things here we want to wrap up. So after Notre Dame's beat down, okay, the first weekend of official college football didn't really disappoint. You had Clemson losing to Duke. We'll talk about that soon. But LSU,
that was awesome. I watched
LSU BQA
quarter on.
They lose to Florida State again, first game of the season again, which I thought was weird that they're playing each other, 2 years in a row at neutral sites, but whatever. I thought that was bizarre. Is that a tradition? I don't think so. But the second season in a row, they lose their opening big primetime game on a Sunday. And it's so typical of BK. It's crazy. Twitter was a mess of just Notre Dame fans with shit-eating grins.
Dumping on LSU. I loved every second of it.
Irish breakdowning Brian Kelly.
That's right. Amen. So, and then his press conference is just the Notre Dame fans are doing that eye roll thing. Just God, come on, man. We've heard this from you before.
Yeah,
and
it's not his.
Oh my gosh.
It's not his fault.
All I will say is that LSU fans, we tried to warn you. We told you this was going to come, and you didn't believe us. And now you're dealing with this shit. And it's hey, you're making Mike Norvell at Florida State look really good. And I'm not saying he's the bee's knees or anything like that. It's just That's a
And
coach.
he's not a slouch either. But
He's
I don't
not.
know
No,
that
Norvell is a halfway decent coach. He's had to pull himself up by his bootstraps. He had a very rocky start at FSU to when he started. His players, I think, circled a petition to get his ass fired. So I mean, like, he's had to win over his players while still being a hard ass, getting into them and say, "Listen, man, you're at Florida State," and like. Look, I don't like Florida State at all. Okay, but they do not make, top. They are not in my top tier hate teams at all. Part of me kind of respects them a little bit, and don't ask me why. It's just kind of a weird thing. I will say this: I love the Chop. Like, I hate it, but I love it. Like, it's a weird love-hate thing, and like when I see it and I hear it, like, I don't know, like. I will say this.
It's amazing to experience when it's against a team that you just love
fucking
hating.
cool. Like, can we just admit the Chop is fucking cool? Like, I'm sorry.
Cool.
It is cool. Like, hit me on Twitter, right? I'm losing followers.
As long as it's not happening to you, the Chop is awesome.
Well, sure, but even if it is happening to me, like when Notre Dame went down to Florida State in what year was that? 2014, and that was a fucking crazy game, right? And we should have won that game, by the way, if not for a bullshit call, pick play, whatever. That's a whole other story. But look, I didn't mind it when it was happening to us in that game either. It's like that's who you are. That's your Florida State. You're the Seminoles. You guys are embracing it fully. I got no problems with that. Like, and it's loud. It's obnoxious. It's annoying. It's kind of what chants kind of are. And what it really reminds me of is, like, if you go to England and you watch a legit soccer game, they're doing all these fucking cheers and you have no idea what they're saying.
Oh, the songs are freaking
That's
awesome.
what I'm saying. And those fans, like, you want to talk about passionate fans, go to an English soccer game, okay? I've been fortunate to have gone to one, okay? But we sat up in the cheapos and we were just kind of like, yeah, we're just kind of here for the experience. But, go Rams. The whole point is, like that's passionate sportsmanship or passionate fans, okay?
And even, like, I guess minor league soccer is pretty big, like semi-pro soccer.
Yeah.
Even here, we've got one of our kids that plays on our junior high team, plays semi-professional soccer in Kansas City. And, like, he excels at it. He's really good.
Well, and that's funny because here in Indianapolis, we've got a team that they're not MLS, but the Indy 11, that's their name. Like, they the city and whatnot finally, and some big donor people finally got together and decided to build them a stadium, and they're going to turn into this big, like, sports complex and then, like, entertainment center, and they found some old property, near downtown, and they're going to kind of revitalize it, and it's near the river and all this stuff. Like, it's going to be awesome. And it's like, I was pointing out to the doc because we took the baby to the zoo, before the holiday. And I was like, hey, yeah, that property over there, you see that? That's going to be the new stadium. And she's like, oh, shit, that's really close to Lucas Oil. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And then we kind of, like, on the way home, we're driving kind of by it. And then she's like, wow, that's really close to everything down here. I'm like, it's going to do so much for the neighborhood around here, just as, like, revitalizing it. But then, like, the Indy 11, it's got this, like, really, like, firm fan base here in Indianapolis. And it's like, I really think, like, Americans are finally, like jumping on the soccer bandwagon. And not like I'm a huge soccer fan, because I'm not, because whatever. But like I don't hate soccer. I actually think it's kind of cool. It's a great sport.
You like soccer?
I knew Red Snapper.
It's a great sport.
You're a fucking good striker. Yeah, exactly. That's right. If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, you need to brush up on your Sylvester Stallone movie trivia there. But the
Cliffhanger, baby, great movie.
Cliffhanger is a fucking great movie. Okay, it's cheesy as hell, but I want to watch it now. Let's watch Trip. Boss, I'm calling in sick, and not Jason He-Man Hendricks. Hey, Lynch, can we get Hendrix's face on He-Man's body? Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Let's get a T-shirt going with that. Put that shit on Whammy Swag and I'll buy it. Okay.
Yes. I'll try to work on that tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, let do it tomorrow. It's fine. It's kind of late. Yeah. All right. So LSU loses. Notre Dame fans are happy. LSU is just like WTF because they didn't believe us and we told you so.
Yes, and I've
Prime time Colorado.
Yeah, I don't have that in my notes. Okay. And I said this on a previous show. I've reserved pretty much all opinions on Deion Sanders, on Colorado, because I'm just like, I just kind of want to wait and see. And then I looked at their schedule and I was like, fuck, they opened this year with TCU? Dude, to put up 40 plus in your first game. I mean, you talk about Big 12, right? It's a good thing Colorado's going to join the Big 12 next year. So it's just a points-gasm where it's just chips, salsa, offense, and the defense is just over on the sidelines eating donuts, I guess. But it's like, seriously. Colorado wins. I mean, it's not bad. At the end of the day, they beat the team that played in the national championship. I mean, shit.
But I've kind of thought, like, I don't know if TCU, and I don't keep up with TCU football, but I don't know how many players they were down from what
they lost their starting quarterback. They lost a couple interior guys, defensive line. They lost 2, I believe. So, I mean, it was a decent. They looked a little bit smaller. And, even the broadcasters were saying that. But it was – I don't know if anybody's had a chance to see the pregame speech, but that got everybody going. And it was perfect. It's us against the world. And, basically now is your time. Like, now is the time to show up. And basically he was asking rhetorical questions that the team started answering. And that's how the whole thing ended. It was galvanizing. Like, I was ready to strap a helmet on and play after watching it. And it was beautiful to see. Like, every single one of those players was there for the guy next to them. And it was beautiful to watch because it was about go out, and just play your best. You've worked, you've done everything you need to do. Now it's about every down and taking everything out of it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, and then I'll let Lynch go here. I think what it is if you're at Colorado, you're feeling really good about yourself because you were able to go in there into someone else's house, by the way, on the road, and there's all this media hype with your coach and, there's all this quote unquote turmoil and people transferring and this, that, and the other. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, you end up winning. You end up putting up more points than the other team. And that, look, I didn't look at the box score of the game or anything like that. So I can't speak with authority on this. But at the same time, it's like, look, you won the game. And it's like you're going to shut a lot of people up when you go to someone else's house, especially TCU. Like, if they had played like Colorado State or, Montana or, pick a team in, the Mountain Time Zone that no one really cares about, it'd be a different story. But you went down to a Big 12 team, a team that was played for a national championship. And granted, they got their ass kicked, but I think most teams were going to get their ass kicked by Georgia last year. But the point is, you won, and everyone was expecting you, Colorado, to lose, and lose by many, many points.
Yeah, I didn't even give them a chance to keep it close.
Like, I don't even know what the spread was. I remember hearing that, and I was like, that seems ridiculous, and it wasn't. And they didn't smoke them, but they won.
They smoked the line, that's for sure.
Well, and it's like, okay, like Vegas is full of shit and whatever, but like, gee whiz. So and then they have to turn it around and they're going to play Nebraska next.
Yeah, and I think that'll be the true test, just to see how they hold on throughout the year.
I mean, I will say this: Nebraska's favored to win this game. I mean, they lost to Minnesota or whatever, so like, who knows about that? But I mean, look, Colorado. Like, we should talk about this, because I have come on this podcast before saying that Notre Dame could. First off, they should schedule the next Shamrock series, other than the rescheduled game they have to do with Wisconsin up at Lambeau. Other than that game, which they have to do, they should do the next Shamrock series in Colorado. They should do it in Mile High in Denver. Now, I personally would rather they do Boise State, because that's just me. But if Colorado is on the uptick with Deion Sanders and some of that other showmanship, whatever, look, that's what Notre Dame is. Notre Dame is the fucking show circus all the time. I mean, come on, give us a break, right? Let's admit it. Notre Dame sometimes feels like a traveling circus with going to fucking Vegas or down to Texas, Yankee fucking Stadium, or even Ireland. All right, no disrespect to any of these places. Notre Dame can pack the butts in the seats because it's Notre fucking Dame, right? Which is great, and that's one of the reasons why we love them. Okay, all I'm saying is, why don't you just strike while the iron is hot? Schedule a game against Colorado now in Mile High. I think that would be great. Like, if you did that in 2 years, 2025 in Mile High, come on, man. Like, it'd be great. Do it, right? Do it to start the season or something. I don't know. I haven't looked at Notre Dame's schedule if that's even a possibility. But
I think Deion would jump at
why would he not?
I think he would jump at that just because of the exposure, like we were talking about last week. The audience that Notre Dame brings with it, that's exactly what he's been preaching to his players. That's how he did the majority of his recruiting, is the exposure you're going to get being at this school.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where he's going to be, it'll be hard to say what he does this year, but a lot of people are already like, well, he brought in 83 transfers or 86, however many it was. That's a lot. That's like building an all-star, all-state team with just, nothing but solid talent. But I want to see how it holds out through the season.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, last time Notre Dame played Colorado here on Winsipedia was in 1995 in Tempe. And we lost 41-24. So,
just to give you an idea, the spread was Colorado was getting 21 points.
I remember thinking it was like stupid high, like 20 points. And they are actually not favored against Nebraska. Nebraska is favored.
It's going to be interesting to see for sure. But I'm definitely loving that.
I mean, they lost to Minnesota. I don't know what it is. Like clearly Nebraska's volleyball team is bringing more people in than their football team right now, but which is fine. Like, I have no problem with that. But I don't know. I mean, they got Matt Rule now, so that's, we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. It's Nebraska. I mean, I'm not saying you can't get good talent at Nebraska, okay? But it's going to take a few years, and I'm really hoping that their fan base can just simmer down and just whatever.
It looks like Colorado's actually favored.
Is it? All right.
Colorado minus 3.5.
ESPN's telling me 58% win probability for Nebraska, but they don't have the actual... They don't have the line showed. Yeah, that is weird. It says the line is 3 points. I agree. But then the predictor, I don't know. Why do I trust ESPN? I shouldn't even be on this website. Whatever. Okay, one last thought. Clemson losing. Okay, so I watched that game. Clemson looked fucked in that game. And here's the thing. I didn't go into the whole spreadsheet piece with this, but I just kind of thumbed through the yard points, okay, passing yards, rushing yards, and just the pure athleticism I saw of Clemson over Duke was far superior for Clemson. Way more yards, way more athleticism. Like, there was like a fumble that a defensive back or cornerback picked up, started to run back, and someone from Clemson just totally out ran him and tackled him, obviously, before he could score.
It was their quarter.
I don't even know if it was Klubnik, but all I know is Clemson clearly has better athletes, clearly has a coach that has a reputation for winning. But now everyone's starting to say, like, well, maybe only one because of Venables with this great defense, and you had two really good quarterbacks, with Deshaun Watson and what's his face with the herbal essence long hair, right? Who embarrassed the fuck out of Notre Dame.
Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence, thank you. Like, are people starting to question Dabo Swinney? Like, is the reason why you were successful is only because you had transcendent quarterback play, and then
offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and a good DC, and then maybe and those are, hey, trust me, those are two great combinations, right? Good defense, good quarterback. Sign me up, man. I'm a homeless person on that mountain, cooking a can of beans, okay? Doing that, all right? I will do that this day and that day every time on Sunday. No problem. But Clemson loses, and then Duke now, does that game get interesting? Like,
Look, Duke game, absolutely it does.
Well, because here's the thing. Like, okay, so we Navy, Tennessee State, right? We won those two games. We got NC State this week. All right, we got to pay attention to that. Then we got Central Michigan on Saturday the 16th, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then Ohio State. Right after that, the week after, no rest for the weary here, we've got Duke. At Duke.
I think it's going to be an interesting measure because we play both Duke and Clemson at their homes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting, I think we could be the measuring stick to see, okay, what team really is the better of the two?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all.
And I would imagine that Clemson's got more talent. I just think Duke is a more coached team because they definitely look like it on Saturday.
I will say this, and I don't know what's happening with the rest of college football, specifically in the Big Ten or whatnot. But look, they just beat Clemson. Their next game is against, I'm looking at Duke's schedule here, Lafayette, then Northwestern, then UConn, who NC State just played, then Notre Dame. So what I will say is this. It is very possible that Notre Dame will play an undefeated Ohio State team and an undefeated Duke team.
Yeah.
All right. Then they'll play Louisville. Then they'll probably play an undefeated Cal or USC game, Southern Cal team. I mean, like what? This is weirdo world here, right? Where Duke is potentially undefeated.
Here's the interesting
That's weird.
thing too. From the conversation we had last week about the strength of schedule being affected by an FCS team. Now it's looking after week one that we're going to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, now 5 top 25 teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? And I don't want Clemson. Like, I have no real bad blood with Clemson, right? I think for them as a program, I'm kind of like, well, you guys better turn shit around. But I mean, it's one game, right? Whatever. But that'll be our 10th game. That's like so far down. That's in November, man. We're gonna have threats of snow here in Indiana when that's going down, right?
Yeah.
So coming up to that game, we'll see. I don't know. It's really interesting with Duke winning because I was really happy to see that, and what's really fun about that is seeing Mike Elko, a former defensive coordinator who was at Texas A&M under Jimbo, and he gets the nod and takes the head coaching job at Duke. I thought it was a great hire by Duke, someone with kind of a little bit more of a defensive discipline, but shit, to hold Clemson with all of that talent to the number of points they had, damn, man, that's legit, okay? And to see Duke do it convincingly, soundly, this isn't like the ref saved you or you got lucky on some sort of fluky play. Like, no, you guys look like you were disciplined, you were focused, you out hustled them, and you just wanted to win more. And Clemson looked confused, and yeah, they have a lot of talent, but when the rubber met the road, you couldn't put points on the scoreboard.
They looked like deer in headlights. Got punched in the mouth and dazed, and all of a sudden scores 2 touchdowns.
Which is really strange coming from a Clemson team, ever since 2015, quite frankly. And I'm seeing stuff on Twitter like, well, Notre Dame broke Clemson, this, that, or the other. Whether that's true or not is to be determined. It's kind of fun to think about, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not saying that Clemson's imposters. What I am saying is that Dabo Swinney was fortunate to have 2 great quarterbacks coupled with a good defense in the same time period, and those things overlapped and gelled nicely. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have a great, those are 2 things that help you win championships, and to have both simultaneously, damn, that's great. That's great.
Clemson's going to have 2 weeks to repair itself and get itself, straight, because they have Charleston Southern next week and then Florida Atlantic the week after that, before hosting Florida State at Death Valley. So that's going to be an interesting game on the September 23rd Saturday. So that'll be an interesting thing. Was it a fluke? Were they just, game 1, just very young talent, just not cohesive? Or is it a real deal? Like, they just are that bad this year? We'll know that week.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, look, I mean, we don't have to get into ether here of all the teams above Notre Dame in any of these rankings right now, because we're not going to talk about that.
It's week 2.
Yeah, it is week 2. Well, yeah, exactly. It's week 2. It's week 3 for Notre Dame, right? I don't know why they say week 0. It's kind of confusing, but
like 0 period. It's still a freaking class.
It has 0 period. What are we on a block schedule here? I don't know. Yeah, the whole piece is very strange. So, last piece here, Red Snapper. So we won't get into details here. So, just a quick preview. We will have a post-game show this Saturday for the game. So check us out on Saturday after the game. We'll be here. And then I was kind of doing a little foreshadowing. So right now we're looking at episode 96. Episode 100 is coming up. Now the question is, I'm getting really dangerously close to 1,000 followers on Twitter at faithful_Irish. I think when I checked yesterday or this morning, I was at 994. So getting really, really close here to that 1,000 followers. What will happen first? 1,000 followers or 100 episodes of this podcast? Ooh.
996 as of right now.
That's what I'm at? Okay. We're getting there. So, yeah, but how many of those are like bots and, just...
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. But, so all right. So we got the schedule coming up here. We got this game. Obviously, we'll do a show next week on Tuesday, going into the Central Michigan game. We will not be doing a Central Michigan post game show. We have another family obligation to fulfill. So we will not be doing that. So what that means, if we fast forward and you want to do some foreshadowing, some math, right now, as the schedule goes, the 100th episode of the Fighting Irish Faithful show will be the Ohio State post-game show.
Whoop, whoop.
I hope it's a good one. That's all I got to say. I will say this. I have the music already planned out for that game.
All right.
If it's a win. So I'll just say
Gonna give us a hint?
No hint. It's awesome. and I'm excited. So so we'll see. We don't want to count it. Look, we got 2 more games to happen. Like if we lose this fucking Central Michigan and then beat Ohio State, that's kind of a weirdo world. So maybe the music won't be appropriate. But the point is, look, we don't have to get too crazy with that. So we will not do a post-game show of Central Michigan, but episode 100 will be at right now with the schedule, the post-game show of the Ohio State game at night, which means it's going to be really late. We're talking, was that 11:30? Probably start time, depending on when NBC lets us go. We can fire up the mics, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's the schedule right now. So no post-game show for Central Michigan, and that game's on Peacock. That's not why we're not going to watch it. Again, another family obligation. But that also maybe means that Red Snapper and I can watch it later at another time. So we'll go from there. So any other thoughts, my brother or Jason Lynch? We lost Jimmy Joe. We lost Adam Dowling and He-Man of the universe, Hendricks.
No, I think everything's covered. I'll be at the Central Michigan game, so y'all don't watch. I'll get some details in the group message.
Excellent. You can be the boots on the ground here. Maybe we'll just throw you the keys to the car and make you run the show. How about that?
No, that would be horrible.
You don't want to do that? Get on a Twitter space.
Yeah. It would probably be, it wouldn't be good. No, it wouldn't be good.
Just drink a bunch of scotch, you'll be fine. All right, just pull up ESPN Box Score and just talk to that. Like that's what I do.
And stay away from the Taco Bell pre-show.
Yes, I think it would probably
spit out my scotch as you were doing that. Oh, that was great. All right, men. Well, very good, fun show, great show. I'm happy that look, Notre Dame needs to improve. We need to beat a Power 5 team, which is great. And that's pretty much anything else.
I look at each of these 3 weeks as stepping stones. We had Navy, now we had an FBS, now we have a Power 5, just one step each improving on the week before to get ready for Ohio State. So just keep climbing those steps.
Absolutely. No doubt. Well, I think that's going to wind us down here tonight. This is the Fighting Irish Faithful Show, part of the Dos Leprechauns media universe here. We're happy to be in your phone, in your ear, during your drive, during your work, during your gardening, whatever the fuck you're doing. It doesn't matter.
Cheerleading competition,
Yeah, cheerleading competition. Jimmy, tip of the cap to Jimmy Gallagher. It's all good. And tell your employer what you're listening to. It's totally fine. Very happy you've been part of us. Let's go out there, Irish. Let's kick the ass of the Wolfpack here. Take that, Jack London. Right? Very happy to do this show. What else can we say? It's been a good show. That's pretty much it. Oh, we didn't get a Twitter shout out. Shit. We'll give it to Lynch. Jason Lynch, you've been on pretty much the whole time. You staying with us, winding us down here with Celtic Chant. Jason Lynch, you're the Twitter shout out of the night. At LynchMobND on the Twitter. Go Irish. Beat the Wolfpack. Beat them soundly like they owe us money.